Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books from Book of the Month and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. It's Tuesday. What do we do on Tuesdays? Well, today I'm going to do my June TBR. That's right, I'm not going to do a tag. I need to do the library tag, but I'm going to do that one on Thursday. Today, even though it's Tuesday, I'm going to do my June TBR. We're going to break with tradition today. So let's get started. What am I reading in June? Well, first, you probably know, because I've talked about it a little bit already, I'm reading Stephen King's You Like It Darker. And as you probably already know as well, this is a collection of short stories. And what's interesting about them is that, generally speaking, the main character, or a main character at least, in these stories, at least the majority of them that I've read so far, is usually an older person. And when I say older, I mean someone who's at least in their 60s or 70s. And not all are horror stories or really even all that creepy. I've read 7 of the 12 stories, including the 2 longest stories, which are Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. That one's a favorite. Everyone seems to like it. I liked it as well. And Rattlesnakes, which is also one of the longer stories, also very well liked. Several people on BookTube actually have already read the entire collection and have some great spoiler-free reviews on their channels. So I will put a link to a couple of those in the description box if you feel that you need to know more than, what I plan on talking about for purposes of this video right now. But let me just talk for a minute about my favorite story, at least so far. And that was a story called The Answer Man. And that happens to be the last story in the book. It's about 40, 50 pages long. And the basic premise that we have here with The Answer Man is that the main character, throughout his life, again, he is an older person, he has 3 separate encounters with the Answer Man, who is someone who knows the answers accurately to questions about what's going to happen in the future. Now, the drawback is that the main character each time only has a few minutes to ask his questions, and especially during his first encounter, he really doesn't have any time to prepare. It just happens. That the Answer Man is there, and he stops by the side of the road and gets, just real quick to ask his questions. So when you think about it, if you were only 25 years old when you encountered a person like this, the Answer Man, and you were to ask questions, what kind of questions would you have asked back then? I mean, I know for me, I probably would have asked things like, will I be famous? Will I be a movie star? Will I be rich? All of those kinds of things. Now, we know years later, decades later, that the answer to all of those things was no. So the answer would have been no, and I really wouldn't have gotten any more information from him about how my life would turn out than I would have gotten at that time. So, it's kind of interesting to think about that. And in the end, kind of the point of the story is that, despite hardships, unexpected tragedies, different human shortcomings and other challenges, we can still manage to rise above things and have a meaningful life, even though things may not turn out the way we thought they were going to, or focus that we had when we were 20 years old. So I liked the story for that reason. So that was one I really liked. I also like the story Rattlesnakes as well, which again has been kind of one of the favorites. That story's a bit longer. It's about 90 plus pages. And in it, we meet again an older man who is staying on Rattlesnake Key, which is a fictitious place in Florida. And he's staying at the home of a friend there. And this island was at one time infested by rattlesnakes, which were driven out in just a really horrifying way. And if you know anything about Florida, you do know that snakes can be a challenge there and are somewhat of a problem. And before they were driven out, of course, they attacked several people. And so several people died, also in a very horrifying way. So if that's not terrifying enough, let me tell you what is the most terrifying thing about this story. That is a woman pushing a baby carriage. Now, trust me, this baby carriage is more frightening than all of those snakes to me. And it haunts this main character in the story. And the way that he knows that it's following him is that he can hear the wheels go squeak, 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 all the way down the street. So you may not think that's terrifying, but if you do plan on reading this story, here's one thing I suggest. You might want to oil your ceiling fan so that in the middle of the night, the squeak, squeak, squeak won't keep you awake. Trust me on this. One other thing I did notice about You Like It Darker that I thought was interesting, and I put this on a little short of mine. You can look from this side and you see an island, palm tree. And on this side, you see the rest of the island. Some lightning we have up there. Not unusual for Florida, right? But look when we open it up. Look at that image. We see something totally different. So I like that. I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so that's You Like It Darker. Moving on. Also on my TBR is a play, which I dropped on the floor. Let me grab it. And that play is called A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. Kind of a classic, sometimes taught in schools. The book is from the 1950s. And it is a banned book, so I will discuss it later in the month in greater detail, such as, why it's banned and, that type of thing, where, etc. So, Raisin in the Sun. And since we're on banned books, I still have Beloved by Toni Morrison on my TBR. I had planned on maybe trying to squeeze it in May if I had time, but I didn't get to it. So it's kind of a carryover from then. So if I do get to it, and I think I will, and I hope I do actually, then I'll do a full review and talk about it as a banned book, probably in the same video as Raisin in the Sun. So there you go. Also, let's see, I've already started my Book of the Month. And as you may have seen in one of my other videos, it's this book, The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. I'm enjoying it so far. Made a pretty decent dent in it. This is a story of a friendship between two women. And they're in Iran, the country of Iran, and when they are in grade school is when they meet, and that is in the year 1950. So both of them are very different in some main ways, but they also become very, very good friends, and During their lifetimes, a lot of changes happen within their country. And so it's excellent so far. It is an early release book for Book of the Month, and it'll be available on July 2nd. And when I finish it, I will do a full review on my channel. So I'm sure that will be soon. So, why is this June TBR so late? I mean, it's the 11th of June already. I usually do my TBR, as most people do, I'm sure, in the first week, although I guess that's not a requirement now, is it? But I was waiting for a book to come in the mail. And the book I was waiting for is The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt. It's got a cool cover. And I'm reading this. I'm reading. I'm lost. I'm reading this mainly for the June on the Range theme. It's was recommended by Jay from Faceless Book Reviews. He read it, and I think that was last month, and he really enjoyed it. So I thought it would make a good Western for me to read this month. Westerns not being one of my necessarily favorite genres. I just don't read a whole lot of them. I probably wouldn't read one unless it was recommended. So as he was reviewing this one, something about it spoke to me, and I'm giving it a try. I suppose I could have made my June TBR without having it, but I don't know. I just kept thinking it was on its way, on its way, on its way, on its way. And I just waited at that point for it to arrive. So that's the reason why it's late. No big deal. So finally, the last book that I have on my list is The Wager. And this is a tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder. This is by David Grann, same author who did Killers of the Flower Moon. And I am reading this for the Ellen Maid Book Club. I haven't started it yet. However, I look forward to it. It comes highly recommended, and it's also still in the running. It's a semi-finalist for the BookTube Prize. So it'll be interesting to see, what we think of it. I'll definitely link both Faceless Book Review and the Ellen Maid Book Club channels in my description box, because if you don't know them already, then you definitely should. So I'll put a link, give them a visit, and see what you think. I hope that you all are having a wonderful month of June and a wonderful summer so far, even though it's not really summer, as in not officially the season of summer. We all know it started. The kids are, I think, mostly out of school. The weather's heating up. 4th of July is really just around the corner, and the year's flying by. So enjoy it while you can. Thank you for watching, and take care.